Well, we are live, and I need to get some rounds done by tomorrow. Well, by tonight, for tomorrow. Let me make sure I'm up and running here and everything is running smoothly. Let's get my chat boards up, see if anyone's logging in. So what I am doing right now is I need some rounds tomorrow, and I need to mute this because it's way too loud. I need to drop some H4350 and seat some Sierra Match Kings 142 grain hollow point boat tails for one of my prized possessions, and that is one of the very first Ruger Precision Rifles, Gen 1. Matter of fact, let me get you up and close personal, see if anyone's logging in. And if you are just logging in, make yourself known, smash that like button, and I'm going to show you what I got going on tonight because I'm bored and I got to get this done. And I figured I'd have you guys join me for the ride, so what the hell. So yeah, that's one of my prized possessions there, and that is probably one of the first Gen 1 Ruger Precision Rifles to come out. And it's a very special Ruger Precision Rifle because it's probably, and I can't prove this, but it's most likely the first direct thread Ruger Precision Rifles with a custom barrel. And at least I never seen anyone when they first came out to have a direct thread, and I'm pretty sure this is probably one of the first. And this was actually, all the work was done at Krieger. This is a Krieger barrel, 24 inch with a blended brake. And I can't physically show you this, but I can damn well show you a picture of it. And it is right over there, but here's the picture of it. So, but yeah, this has the SLR handguard on it with a 24 inch Krieger heavy barrel on it with a blended brake, and all the work was done at Krieger. Matter of fact, the gunsmith at the time at Krieger contacted me, and they wanted to get their hands on a Ruger Precision Rifle so bad because they first came out, and I just happened to have one. And this was way back in, gosh, I don't know, 2016, late 2015, I'm guessing. She was rolling in here. Cam 413 is rolling in saying hello again. Jer Bear Tactical is rolling in saying good evening, Todd. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. And saying back to you. Heathen Hammer's rolling in saying evening. And I need to get some rounds done. I need to get some 6.5 Creedmoor rounds done here, and I am going to use the Sierra Match Kings, the 6.5 millimeter, 142 grain hollow point boat tails. And just this, if you're new to the game, this is what they look like. So they're a nice bullet there. It's beautiful. It's 6.5 millimeter, 142 grain. It's got a boat tail on the bottom here. It's a boat tail there. It's got a hollow point there if you're absolutely new. And they put the boat tail to reduce the drag, and they put the hollow point in the front to lighten the tip. And this is what you consider a match grade bullet. It's probably one of the gold standards in the 6.5 millimeter community. Thomas text rolling and saying, how are you doing? And are you a busy man? You can tell I got some time off from work, huh? They're pumping out a lot of content lately. But yeah, so if you guys are just joining in, and I'm about to get this Charge Master rolling here with some good old H4350. I need some rounds for tomorrow because I'm going to be running that Know Your Limits target at 300 yards, and I need some rounds to beat that thing up with. And I don't have many rounds left, and so I need to make sure I got some rounds for roll out to the range tomorrow. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer for some more people to roll in. But yeah, if you're just joining us, I am going to make 50 rounds tonight for this very special Ruger Precision Rifle, 6.5 Creedmoor with a Creedmoor barrel. And just it's got a Bowbro quick detach AR style mount on it. It's got a Burris XTR2 6-24 FFP minute of angle scope on it. Yeah, so I'm going to go over a bunch of things, obviously dropping powder, and then we're going to seat some pills here, and I'm going to go over using a bullet comparator and how I figure the amount of jump based off this particular RPR's lands in comparison to using this particular type of bullet. And that is what I need to get done tonight, and I figured I'd have you guys join me. So that's what I can't show you in person, but I could show you some pictures. I took these pictures right before I went live, and I'm using a bullet comparator here, and I'm knocking that stuck bullet out of the chamber with a bore snake so I can take that out and measure it with a bullet comparator. And if you're not, you've probably seen this if you're familiar with some of my live streams. But like I said, don't get a headspace bushing and a bullet comparator confused. This is a headspace bushing, this is a bullet comparator. Right now, I got the bullet comparator in there because I want to figure out a 15 thousandths of an inch jump to the T based off this firearm's lands. And let me see who's rolling in here. Alaska One Andy's rolling in saying evening. Love my RPR 6.5 Creedmoor. Thor's Axe rolling in saying hey Todd. Yeah, so we got 11 watching now. I'm gonna wait just a little bit longer and we'll get rolling here. I'm gonna fly right through this because I need to get this done and go to bed. And if you're just joining in, we are gonna drop some H4350 and we are gonna seat some Sierra Match Kings is the gold standard, and 142 grain boat tail hollow point match bullets, and this should be pretty spectacular. And I'm using a competition Redding dial seeder. It's about the best of the best you can get in regards to seeder dies. It's got a micro seeder on it, and it's about as good as it comes. So while I'm waiting for more people to roll in before we get cruising, I am going to put some powder in this scale. And first and foremost, before I do that, I'm going to make sure I zero it out. So let's get that done while I'm waiting for more people to roll in. So let's get Mr. White here squared away. And if you guys watch any of these before, I'm sure you're familiar with this, but I like to use dryer sheets. I like to go over this part of the Charge Master with the dryer sheet. Just go over the general area of the dryer sheet. Static electricity is the bane of any type of powder scale, at least electronic one. I like to go over the pan with the dryer sheet. I'm going to set that off to the side, put the dryer sheet underneath. We're going to make sure that this is level, it's not tippy. And then we are going to calibrate this with these 50 grain weights. So I'm going to zero this out and hit calibrate. I've let this warm up for about 10 minutes, by the way. So it's asking for 150 grain weight. Wait for stable. Calculate. It's asking for 100 total now. It says it's stable. Calculate. It says 100. I'm going to take one off. It should say 50. It says 50 and it's stable. Take this off. And now it's calibrated. So we're good to go. And if you guys are out there watching, make sure this side port's shut. You don't want powder rolling out the side, because trust me, I've done it before. But we are going to drop think it's 41.6 grains of H4350. Because I need some rounds for tomorrow when I go out to the range, and I'm gonna see what this center fire know your limits target's all about in regards to shooting at 300 yards. So let me see who's rolling in here quick. So make sure this is squared away. So I mentioned this before. If some of you are absolutely new to my videos, I like to put the weight of my pan. So I put the weight of the pan in terms of grains on there. So when I put that pan on, I can make sure my scale's not drifting. And it says 148, the pan says 148. I'm going to zero this out. So when I take this pan off, it should say 148. And by doing that, I can tell if my scale's drifting. If I'm in a really long reloading session, you usually don't see it in a short reloading session, but in a long session, you might start to see this drift. It might start saying 147.9. It might drift to 147.8. Drift off to 147.7, and at that point I know it's really massively drifting. So that's something you want to definitely keep an eye out for. So anyway, let me see who's rolling in the boards here, and if you guys are just joining us here today, matter of fact, I'll bring you up here and I'll show you what's going on. I need some rounds because I'm going to the 300 yard range tomorrow to smack up this know your limits target from shootingtarget7.com. And if any of you guys know anything about this particular RPR, it's really special. Probably one of the first Gen 1s that ever hit the market. I probably got this back in late 2015, early 2016, when they were next to impossible to get. And they were so impossible to get, the gunsmith at the time that worked at Krieger got a hold of me, and he said he wanted to get his hands on it so he could print out this barrel. And it is a Krieger barrel, and this was done at Krieger. And I live in Wisconsin, and Krieger's in Wisconsin. So, and I can't prove this, but I'm pretty sure that this is probably one of the first direct thread RPRs that was ever done, at least custom-wise. And I've had this ever since, and it's an absolute tack driver. And to prove that, I do have, like of all my firearms, a reloading series for it. And you could watch me shoot this at 600 yards right in the X-ring for 5 shots, half minute of angle, no problem. Matter of fact, I shoot numerous groups at 600 yards on camera. And no joke, I mean, it was consistently printing half minute of angle groups at 600 yards. And not only that, but I have a quick overview of it. And this really old video is one of my first, and it's probably back in 2015, 2016. And not only that, but I have a complete reloading series for bolt action. And it goes over everything in regards to bullet jumps, how to use a bullet comparator like this, figure out your jumps. That's all in there. So just because it says Ruger and you have something like a Tikka, there's a valuable amount of information in here in regards to reloading. And I think it's, don't quote me on this, but I think it's in 4, 5, and 6. I think so. You'd have to double check. It's been a while since I watched this, but yeah, you definitely need to check this out. So part 1's the overview. Part 2, we shot some factory ammunition. Part 3 and 4. And 5, I think that's the reloading section for a bolt action. So I said, like I said, even if you don't have a Ruger precision rifle, this is invaluable information of how I reload for my bolt actions, especially in regards to figuring out the amount of jump that I seat my bullets at. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, there is what's called the secant radius of the bullet. So if you can see this bullet here, and so here's a bullet. Let me throw this right in the screen, right there. So you can see this is called this bullet has a secant radius, this bullet has a tangent radius. Big difference between the two, and this one has more of a secant radius. If you get something like a Game King, they're probably gonna have more like a tangent radius. But this is right about here where the secant radius comes in contact with your rifling lands. That's called the ogive, or the ogive of the bullet. And that's what these bullet comparators do. They measure the amount of jump that you see your bullets at. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, let me blow this up a little bit for you guys. Now, here's the body of the cartridge. Here's the shoulder. Here's what's called your free bore. And your jump, wherever your bullet secant radius comes in contact with the rifling's lands. So here's the start of the rifling's lands here. Wherever that is, wherever that secant radius of the bullet comes in contact with the rifling's lands, that is called the ogive. Wherever the bullet comes in contact with the rifling's lands on that secant radius, that's called the ogive of the bullet. And it's the most consistent way of seating your bullets. In the precision world, they usually measure off the bullet's ogive. And that's what this bullet comparator does. And the reason why is these match grade bullets, especially match grade bullets, not something like a ballistic tip. These tips of the bullets are massively inconsistent. Massively. You can see it's got a jagged point on it. They're not totally perfect. And you can get away with this with a semi-automatic because you're usually restricted to maximum magazine length. But when it comes with the bolt action, and in my RPR, I got this very special magazine. I paid a lot of money for this magazine so I could extendedly seat my bullets out of the casing. And matter of fact, I'll show you a picture of it right here. So here's the picture of that. And that special magazine lets me even touch the lands. And if I want to, I can even jam the bullet right in the lands. And some guys do that. And if you do that, you gotta be very careful. You gotta really know what you're doing, because if you jam it too much, your pressures inside your casing, which could be 50,000 plus PSI, can go drastically north. So you got to be careful with what you're doing. You're playing with expert reloading skills here. This is not something to play around with if you have no clue what I'm talking about. Especially if you have zero headspace and you're jamming the bullet into the lands. And that's what this tool does. It is a bullet comparator, which I can get this. This is called a modified case. And this case is very special too. This case is identical to the headspace of that casing that I'm about to reload. And I can show that to you, and I can prove it to you too. So remember, the body of this special tool not only accepts a bullet comparator, but also accepts a headspace bushing. I can take this bullet comparator out, and you guys have seen the headspace bushing before if you've been watching my videos lately. I could put this headspace bushing in, and I can put these on my calipers with the anvil, so that kind of all works together. And make sure my calipers are zeroed out. And I can screw off this modified case off the bullet comparator tool. And I can measure the headspace of this. And this says a headspace on this bullet comparator of 1.545. That's important. It's important that your comparator's headspace is remotely close, within a thousandth of an inch, of your actual ammunition that you're reloading based off your firearm's fire-formed headspace. And I love proving points. This is the brass that I'm about to reload, exactly the same, 1.545. Matter of fact, let me show you how consistent this brass is. I'm going to grab another piece. And this piece is also 1.545. And I know when that brass is ejected out of this particular very special Ruger Precision, one of the first that had a direct thread barrel, I'm pretty sure, with a Krieger barrel, that fire forms, and I write that down. This fire forms at 1.547 to 1.548. So I'm bumping this back roughly a little over a thousandth of an inch, about 1 1,000 to 2,000 of an inch. We are talking microscopic damn near. I mean, that's a kiss of precision there, baby, when you're looking for precision ammunition. So let me read some of your comments here because I've been babbling a little bit. Let's see who's rolling in here. So, oh my gosh, as your 6 coverage rolling in, it's got to be bad. It's going to be bad. So, see if I don't miss any questions or concerns. Steel CA is rolling in the house. Nice to have you along. Is your 6 cover is in the house. Love that man. Him and Rick. I mean, Rick and Ray. Rick and Ray, the double R's. Is your 6 cover says I was going to go live. Well, you can't do that now. Just kidding. No one's going to watch it. Just kidding, buddy. Is your 6 cover say you have a video for everything? And you're damn straight I do because I've been doing this too damn long. And is your 6 cover saying great info, Todd? And thank you, my friend. It's greatly appreciated. I think that's it. So if you're just joining, we got about 21 people rolling in. I am reloading for my very special Ruger Precision Rifle with a 24-inch heavy barrel, stainless steel, Krieger barrel. And we are going to go over ogive, seating by ogive, not by coal, which is the most precise way of doing it. Figuring out exactly the amount of jump you have based off what your bullet comparator tells you. And I'm going to get that back in here. So I'm taking the headspace bushing out of the body. So that little Allen screw there, putting this special bullet comparator that is 4 6.5 millimeter pills. And what this does, I'm going to show that to you here. This bullet comparator, let me get this in some better light here. This bullet comparator rides on the ogive of the bullet. So you can see that. See where it rides right on the secant radius or the ogive of that bullet. And what that represents is where that radius touches your rifling's lands. That's where the lands of the rifling accepts the bullet into the rifling, and so it can go down the bore. Simple as that. And this tool allows me to figure out the exact amount of jump that I have, and I can do more load development above and beyond playing with headspace, powder drums. I can play with jumps. And in my opinion, in order of importance, it goes from bullet type, powder drops. So bullet type, see what the barrel likes to eat first. Play with powder drops after that. Play with barrel harmonics, and then you're playing around with bullet jumps. And some barrels like a little bit of jump. Some barrels like a lot of jump. It just depends, and they're all different. If you guys got any questions out there, let them rip. Okay, so OCD Outdoors is asking an amazing question, and he's asking about this modified case that goes on my bullet comparator. Is this from my, what he's asking is this modified case an actual fired piece of brass out of my RPR that I tapped and die the end so I could screw it on this tool? And it is not. It's actually a Hornady tool, and I lucked out. The headspace actually happens to be exactly what it needs to be. I mean, to the thousandths of an inch, and I just lucked out. But if it didn't, I can make my own. I could actually take a piece of brass like this and bump this back to the correct amount of headspace based off my firearm's headspace. Make sure you trim it so when you put it in the chamber, it doesn't damage the chamber. And I tap the end of it. And matter of fact, you can actually send in a couple pieces of your fire brass to Hornady, and they will make one for you if you're not skilled enough to make it yourself. And what's nice about that is your headspace needs to be spot on if you want correct and consistent readings for jumps. Because if this has a 3/1000th of an inch incorrect headspace in comparison to something you just bought off the shelf, when you go to play around with bullet jumps, it's going to be roughly 3/1000th of an inch off. So it's really important that you make sure that's done correctly. And OCD Outdoors just made an amazing comment right there. Well, Hitting Steel CA says, I just nailed 100 pieces of brass and I realize how much it sucks to not have a machine. I think I'm going to build a DIY. And you're right. You shouldn't be doing it by hand anyways, because I don't care who you are, you can't be that consistent. Because with the glow method, at least that I use, it literally takes half a second to be in there too long. And I don't care how precision you think you are with a drill and a socket in your hand, you're not. So just like people that think they can shoot the difference between a mil and minute of angle-based scope, you can't. So, all right. So let's get to dropping some powder here, so I'm not blabbering all night long and pissing off my girlfriend. So I need to look at my information card. My information card, based off my old load development that produced the best groups with a particular type of bullet, says I should be dropping 41 grains of H4350, which is unicorn powder stuff in Varga. It's next to impossible to get right now, and that's why you load up on it. So here is the firearm I'm reloading for, the date, the amount of pieces. This happens to be brass on its third fire, and it is 6.5 Hornady brass, Hornady brand style brass. I'm dropping 41.6 grains of H4350, and I've already played around with the max ogive and seated depth. So the max ogive, when I use this particular tool, now when I say, let me get you up close and personal here. Let me show you some pictures, because I can't show you live. So what I did is I took this tool here, see this tool? And I took one of these amazing Sierra Match Kings, 142 grain match bullet tail hollow points out of here. And I took this bullet and I put it in this tool and I loosened this up and I dropped this bullet down so it's about like that. It'll go all the way in, and you can see I can adjust this. This will go up and down, and I can push it all the way out if I want to too. And so I'm going to put this in, I'm going to tighten this up, and you can see I got this special modified case that's been tapped and dyed on the end, and I can push this in and out. And then once I push this out and it hits the rifling's lands, I tighten this down, and that's my max ogive. I can't push anymore because the bullet's already, the secant radius of the bullet's already in contact with the rifling's lands. I can't go anymore. And if I push it anymore, it's going to jam it in the lands, and that gets exponentially dangerous, and you don't want to do that. So being that I can't show you this live, I'm going to show you as a picture. So I put this in my RPR, take it all the way home. I loosen this up and I push on this rod until the bullet comes in contact with the rifling's lands, and then I tighten this back up so this rod can't go back out, and that tells me the maximum amount that I can seat that bullet. I can't go out anymore because it will be jammed into the rifling's lands. And what happens when you do this, I'm going to pull this out, and this bullet literally gets stuck in the chamber. It literally gets stuck on the rifling's lands. When I pull this out and you do it correctly, you don't want to ram this home, but you got to put in a little bit of force on it to the point where this bullet gets stuck on the rifling's lands. It literally will stay in the chamber, stuck on the rifling's lands. And I'll blow this back up, and when I push on this rod, it pushes this bullet out till the secant radius comes in contact with the rifling's lands and stops. I can't go any further. And that is what's called your maximum ogive seating depth. And you can go only one way down, and that's to push the bullet back into the casing. And that's where you start playing with bullet jumps. I hope that makes sense. And if it doesn't, you can go back and watch this video again once it's done. So that's what I'm doing today. And when that bullet gets stuck in the rifling's lands, what I do is I usually take a bore snake, take the end of the bore snake so I don't damage my rifle's bore. Pretty hard to damage a rifle's bore with the end of a bore snake. And I take that bore snake and I come down and I hit the end of that bullet with the end of the bore snake. And you can actually see the bullet right there. It literally dropped off the rifling's lands. So I'm not totally worried about that bullet getting stuck. You can see it dropped out of the chamber and onto my chair. So easy peasy. Once you've done it a few times, get a method of your madness down. It's pretty easy. Now, with that being said, what I can do is show you what it looks like. Now, when I insert that bullet into this bullet comparator and I push on this rod to the point where this bullet won't go out anymore because it's already in contact with the rifling's lands, I tighten this up, I pull this out, the bullet gets stuck in the rifling's lands, I knock it out with the end of a bore snake, I take that bullet back out, put it back in, and that's where I put my bullet comparator in, my calipers. No, we're not doing headspace, we're doing bullet jumps. We're playing around with ogive, seating bullets by ogive. This is zeroed out. Now what I can do, now you got to make sure you take your anvil off when you do this. I forgot to mention that. So take the anvil off. You got just the body and the bullet comparator in the body. Make sure it's zeroed out. And then I take this and I clip it on my calipers just like that, and make sure it's not like this, it's sitting over it like that. And you insert this and it will tell you what that maximum ogive is, so you can figure out how much jump you want when time comes to seat your bullet using your seater die. Now, my maximum ogive is 2.258, and I can kind of give you an idea what that looks like. What I can do is I can actually try and do this on camera live, is I can undo this, and I am going to keep on going until I reach that maximum ogive. Now, I wouldn't have to do this if I could do it, if I could actually grab the firearm right now and show you on live, but I can't because this is live. But in this picture, when I did it, when I did this, and I pulled that bullet out and I knocked it off with a bore snake, it came out to 2.658, and I can show you what that looks like by unscrewing this. And I can keep on pushing on this until I reach 2.58. Give you an idea of how far that bullet is sticking out of that brass. So I'm going to push on this until it reaches 258. Now, you wouldn't do this, obviously, I'm just doing it manually. This would already be done because you've already tightened it up. But it looks somewhere like right around there. So envision this. I put this in the chamber. I push on this rod lightly to the point where the bullet comes out. The secant radius of the bullet comes in contact with the rifling's lands. I tighten this up. I pull this out of the chamber. The bullet's going to be stuck on the rifling's lands now. I'm going to knock this out with the bore snake. I'm going to grab that bullet back up and put it back in the tool, and now this is set, if that makes sense. Now I put it in my calipers with the bullet comparator, and it's going to read, just vision that it read 2.258, because I can't get it that precise doing it by hand, but it's going to be around there. So I think you guys get the gist. As best as I can do without being able to show you live, because I can't touch a firearm on a live broadcast. So that makes sense. All right, so let me see who else is rolling in and who else has any comments. So Heathen Hammer is saying, so I'm new at all this. Wouldn't the hollow point create drag precision? And not really. I'm not going to say hollow point boat tails are a thing of the past and they're widely used now. It seems like everyone's somewhat sliding into ballistic tips. But you'll still see, and I still use, boat tail hollow points. As a matter of fact, I did the load development between these and ELDs. And I tell you, boat tail hollow point Sierra Match King bullets are some of the best bullets that money can buy. And at least with this particular RPR's load development, the Match Kings absolutely destroyed, when I say destroyed the ELDs. And those have a ballistic tip. And you could buy the completely same RPR. Just think mine had a factory barrel and it preferred SMKs, Sierra Match Kings. And you bought the exact same RPR right off the shelf. Matter of fact, that RPR came off this assembly line right next to it. That particular firearm might like to shoot ELDs and not SMKs. I keep on saying this, and I don't know how many more times I can say this. Barrels and barrel rifling and the bore of your particular firearm is just like a fire print. They are different just as much I am to you. And you just don't know until you test that out. And that's the only way you're ever going to know. Let's see what we got here. So OCD Outdoors say Mid-South had H43 in stock yesterday. You better scoop that up while you still can. And Jerry Tech saying that tool is on sale on Amazon for 15 bucks, and it's a great tool to have. And so what I am going to do is I did the load development. So once I got done playing around with what my barrel likes to eat for particular bullets, got that figured out, started playing around with that bullet's particular powder drops in regards to barrel harmonics. When I say barrel harmonics, I'm playing around with different powder drops, because when you play around with different powder drops, you're playing around with accuracy nodes. And if you were to put your firearm under super slow motion, high frames per second, and crack off a shot, you literally watch your barrel wave. It's got a signature wave, just like you plucking the string on a guitar. It's not exactly up and down. It's actually kind of like this. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get that accuracy node so the bullet leaves the muzzle the second it's pointing forward. And that's what you're doing when you're playing around with barrel harmonics. You're trying to get it so it's not kind of pointing up and not pointing down. And when I say you're talking very minute amount, because obviously you're dealing with a metal barrel, that's usually why your accuracy goes to hell, because your steel softens up when it gets red hot. But that's why they make varmint bull barrels, because they're trying to reduce that signature wave or your barrel harmonics. And that's what you're doing when you're playing with powder drops, different powder drops. And you're trying to get it so that barrel's pointing exactly straight as the barrel exits the muzzle. That's why you can have multiple nodes, accuracy nodes, with one particular type of bullet and powder, because you can be going up with 40.0, 40.2, 44.4 grains of powder. Bullet exits the muzzle, 44.6, 44.8, and you're at 45, you're back down to 45.2, and now it's another accuracy node, and that's why, if that makes sense. That's the best way I can explain it. Dave Gilbert saying, build the Elfster's do-it-yourself nailer. All right, man, I better start dropping powder. I'm going to be up here all night long. So we got our information card says I need to drop, double check this, measure twice, cut once. I need to drop 41.6 according to my load development. So I'm going to enter 41.6, enter, dispense. And now you can see I got what's called a Big Pen modified insert. Now it's a McDonald's straw mod, but I have a Big Pen insert. Quickly show you what that looks like on Mr. Blue here is I got the McDonald's straw mod here, and all it is the tip of a Big Pen to reduce the mouth opening of my Chargemaster, I took a drill and I did a slight chamfer so this can accept the powder better. I wrapped a slight amount of blue painter's tape around this, so when I put this into the McDonald's straw mod, it's snug but it's not loose. Because at the end of my session, I pull this out and I empty the powder. I'm done with my session, I've emptied the powder, I put this back in for my next reloading session. So that's simple. And it does slow this down, but it damn near creates no overthrows. It might create an overthrow here and there, but it's damn near non-existent now. If you use just the regular mouth opening or the McDonald's straw mod, you will get a ton of overthrow, especially with straw type powders like this, stick type powders. And not so much with pellet style powders, but stick style powder. Gosh. This will help eliminate that, but it does slow it down. It does slow that process down. So I'm gonna hit dispense. So this is the first time, the first charge, it takes a little while to come out. And you can see it's dramatically slowing it down, but I'd rather have that than screwing around using this all day. And that's what's, there's a plastic spoon that I've filed the tip down to razor sharp point, and I use this to scoop out overthrows. And it's a wash. It's either you're screwing around with overthrows and you're adding extra seconds, or it's taking longer and you're not scooping out overthrows. But this is also more precise. It's probably going to get more precise and considered to getting closer to 1 kernel of powder in regards to your targeted powder drop, if that makes sense. So let me get you down here, and I'm going to start rolling through this here, because if I don't, I'm going to be up here all night freaking blabbering and dropping powder. And I'll try my best to answer you guys' questions while I'm doing this. Now, before I do anything, I get a flashlight and I inspect every single piece of brass. And what I'm checking is I'm checking the flash hole for a primer. I'm also looking down the case mouth opening for anything strange, because I don't use stainless steel pins anymore, but when I did, in my thousands of rounds that I've reloaded in my life, in my experience, I did catch 1 stainless steel pin caught in that case mouth opening that I did miss, and I was able to catch it. If I didn't catch that, that would have went down my rifle's bore and it would have jacked it all up. And or it could have been worse. So make sure I got this nice and clear. So if you guys are, looks like we got 32 watching right now. So we are dropping some H4350 for, I'm just gonna quick go over this because we got more people rolling in. And I am gonna go over ogive, seating by ogives, figuring out the exact amount of jump. And we are reloading for this very special RPR that has a direct thread Krieger barrel. And we just went over bullet secant radius, how it touches the rifling's lands, and how we seat that bullet by ogive for a consistent seating, and we know exactly what we're playing with for bullet jump. Now, when I say bullet jump, it literally means just that. Literally, that bullet, no joke, jumps out of the brass casing and literally flies through the air. When I say flies through the air, it's like it's flying through the air just like it's leaving the muzzle. It might be a minute amount. Some firearms could be damn near over 1/8 of an inch. In my case, it's only going to be 15 thousandths of an inch. Because I know the max ogive using that bullet comparator is 2.258 using this particular bullet and this firearm. So I'm going to seat that bullet using the bullet comparator at a 15 thousandths of an inch jump. So 15 thousandths of an inch less than the maximum ogive. I know for a fact I am using a 15 thousandths of an inch jump, and you can play around with this number. Some guys like to start out at 20 thousandths of an inch, and they'll work their way down in increments of 0.005 down to touching the lands, and then they'll work their way back. And they'll see what increases or decreases the accuracy, and it can do that. And it literally flies out of that casing through the chamber's free bore until it contacts the rifling's lands. Rifling's lands accepts the bullet and allows the bullet to go down the bore and down the rifling and to exit the muzzle. And that's it. Anyway, let me see if here, before I start going on a powder dropping frenzy, David Gilbert saying built the Elfster's annealer. That's awesome. Check out that parts list in that video for the do-it-yourself annealer. And there, I put all new, fresh Amazon links in there, so they should work. If any of you guys have any issues with that parts list, let me know. Also, I did a do-it-yourself bench for garage storage purposes tonight, a fold-away garage bench. It was pretty nice. Oh my gosh, Gates Jr. Reloading, don't start with me with the bullet comparator and bump gauge thing. You know better by now. That's funny. Now you're a master, so you're following in my footsteps. Elf, do you play with bullet run out and time in the chambering? So, yeah, I don't. It just depends of what level of accuracy you want to get. You know, you can play out with bullet concentricity, make sure your bullet's as straight as an arrow coming out of that brass casing. And that's something you can definitely do, and it definitely does help. I just don't. I probably should. It gets to the point of how much time you want to invest into the whole reloading situation. So I'm gonna start dropping some powder. So if you guys got any questions about anything, let them rip. And I am just gonna go to town here in all 50 pieces. And if you got any questions, I'll try my best to answer them between powder drops. And we got 50 to go. So I hope you guys are ready for a powder drop session. And it's gonna take a while, especially with a big pen insert. And then after we get done dropping these 50, I'm gonna seat these bullets using the Redding competition die seater. So, and that is one of the best seaters that money can buy. So this is 41.6, that's good. So this would be a great time to ask any reloading questions. Gates Jr. Reloading is dropping the super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. He says, I'm going to bed, but we'll watch it tomorrow, and I appreciate that. And I'm sure you will learn something, especially in regards to bullet ogive and bullet jump. And those super chats help out so much in regards to this channel and its content. So thank you so much. All right, so 41.6. Jeff Allen saying that's into bench rest shooting analness when worrying about. Okay, yeah, and that's it. You know, it's all comes down to everything. Like, how anal do you want to be about your reloads? You know, you can uniform the flash hole. You can play around with bullet concentricity. You know, there's just a crazy amount of things that you can dive into in regards to getting the most consistent, precise ammunition. It just depends on how much time you want to invest, and that's part of your own journey that you got to go on and figure out. It's something I can't tell you. It's something that you just need to learn. And I've always said this: the best way to learn is to do. You have to just do it. You can only watch someone so long. Sometimes you just got to jump in head first. So what I should probably do is stoke up the other one, so we're not waiting so long. I probably should have done that, but oh well. It just gives us more time to chat about reloading. So like I said, if you got any questions about reloading, I'll try my best to answer them. We are 5 down. I usually tap this a little bit, just ever so slightly, just to make sure those kernels drop down that case mouth opening. And if you guys are just joining us, we are, or at least I am, not we, I am getting some rounds ready for tomorrow so I can go out to the range for my Ruger Precision rimfire, Ruger Precision rifle. I have one of those too, but yeah, this is a very special direct thread Krieger barrel, and it is freaking awesome. We're about to go over bullet jumps, seating by ogive, all that good stuff. Now there's a bunch of different powder scales that you can get. In my opinion, the bare minimum I would get is the Charge Master. But if you want something as a step up from a Charge Master, I would probably get the A&D 120i FX scale that has a separate trickler and powder drop that you can set up to your phone. I mean, that is just short of getting a Prometheus. That's pretty awesome. All right, so we got another 41.6 grains of H4350. I wish I could speed this up for you guys, but my main concern is all about precision. I had one speck fall out of that one. So Gates Jr. Reloading said, if you had an opportunity to have 30 minutes with your girl or spend an hour reloading something brand new you just got, which one would you go for? Well, she's probably watching right now, so she watches me sometimes. Is totally gonna spend the time with a girlfriend, obviously. Can you guys hear me okay? Just want to make sure you guys can hear me all right. All right, so this is where I just screwed up because I'm babbling. I just did a double throw. I gotta be careful about this. So I'm gonna carefully pull this out because I am talking when I should be dropping powder. And this is kind of a rookie mistake, but I'm going to show you how to not screw this up and get powder all over the place. So I'm going to carefully pull this out, dump this in. All right, so that's definitely where you want to make sure the second you get done dropping powder, you move your funnel. So consistent, consistent, consistent. All right, let's try that again. So you just watched a disaster get averted there. I need to concentrate more here. All right, so Kermit Loves Bacon says, you said you don't use pins and more to wash. What are you using? So yeah, I stopped using my stainless steel pins. So you can see my pins are right there. Took them, I don't use them in my stainless steel tumbler anymore. And all I do is use Dawn dish soap and Let Me Shine only. So I gotta remember to move this funnel the second I drop that powder. All right, move funnel. And so the first round of cleaning, just enough to get the brass clean enough to wash, I use just Dawn only and just Dawn only and hot water in the first round of wash, just to get the clean enough to size. And then after I size to get the lube off and make it nice and sparkly, I do a good squirt of Dawn, hot water, and a teaspoon of Let Me Shine. And no pins. And I've been doing that for some time now to the point where I feel confident I'm not doing it anymore. So Mr. Parts for Sale saying, what about bolt holding brass distance from barrel factor in? I'm not following you there, buddy. Try and reword that. I guess I'm not totally sure what you're saying there. Jeff Allen saying, my wife started watching and asking reloading questions after watching Johnny's reloading bench videos for a few months. Man, if you ever find a woman that likes to reload and shoot with you, not only do you buy her one ring, but you buy her two. Just kidding. Yeah, so reword that, Mr. Parts for Sale. I'm not totally sure what you're asking there. You're saying, what about bolt holding brass distance from barrel factoring in? Are you talking about the headspace? I'm not totally sure what you're saying there, buddy. So Kermit Loves Bacon saying, I'm only reloading 9 and 45 currently, plan on adding 223 and 300 blackouts. That's awesome. Hidden Steel Series saying, I would like if my wife did too. They're pretty rare, man. Pretty rare. So if you guys got any questions, let them rip. I will try my best to answer them while we're dropping powder here. Because tomorrow I need to take some rounds to the range so I can smack up this Know Your Limits target system. And if you guys haven't seen that target system,
wouldn't it be better if a leather holster could lock?
Pause here.
With limited carry options, responsible gun owners know the frustrations that come with carrying a gun. Unlike leather that's flexible, Kydex and plastic holsters.
Get that muted. If you guys haven't seen this Know Your Limits target system I got coming up here, it's pretty freaking spectacular. I just showcased it, my do-it-yourself. It is, I think it's right at the end. I think I show it. I think I do. Just got that, dang it. Just got this target system here. The gongs for the private range. So that's coming. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Right there. Right there. So yeah, that's what I'm banging up tomorrow, right there. So you guys have probably seen this before, the rimfire edition of the Know Your Limits target system. Now I got the rimfire edition. You know, 3/8 AR 500 steel. Starts at 8.76, 5432. And I'm going to try and smack that at 300 yards tomorrow. And that should be pretty spectacular. I'm really looking forward to that. But I need some rounds in my 6.5. I need some rounds. I don't have any. So... So Jeff Allen saying, I saw a reloading tip earlier talking about adding citric acid, which is lemon shine, which, yep, at quarter the cost. Yeah, you could do that. I buy it actually from where I work at a discount. So I get it for like next to nothing already. But that's a good point. You can definitely do that separately. How's the audio, by the way, guys? Can you hear me okay? Jeez Louise. So Current Loves Bacon is saying, have you tried 350 Legend out yet? And I haven't. And be honest with you, you know, I thought about it once, but they are so damn expensive to shoot that I don't think I would. I mean, you know, it's like a SOCOM. They're literally $4, $4 or $5 every time you yank the trigger. I'd much rather just get a 223. Plus they're unaccurate as hell and they drop like a rock. You know, like that SOCOM. But John Galt saying the audio's good, so that's awesome. Jeff Allen saying kind of quiet but okay, and that's because my girlfriend's going to sleep. I gotta be quiet, but I'll move this up so you can hear me better. See if that's any better. So Mr. Parts are saying bolt holds the brass, so land's distance don't matter much, I'm thinking. So your seating depth by ogive would be the distance from the bottom of the brass to the secant radius of the bullet. So your seating by ogive, that'd be from the base of the brass to wherever the lance comes in contact with the radius of the bullet, and that is your ogive. If that makes sense. I think that's what you're asking. Jeff Allen saying also buying corn cob and crushed walnut material from pet supplies places, massive savings. Yep, if you want to dry tumble, that's definitely a thing you can do. Save a ton of money that way. I just wet tumble, and I tell you, using a wet tumbler without stainless steel media and the Lyman Cyclone case dryer, in my opinion, and of course everyone's got their own opinion, and their opinions are the only way, but using these two that you don't have to buy media for at all, that's where these shine. You don't have to buy media for them all. And I don't even use media. I don't even use it. I just use Dawn and Let Me Shine in hot water, the hottest water I can get out of my tap. So I don't even have to buy any media. So 1 hour in here, hour and a half in there. Goes back in here for an hour after I resize, get the lube off, goes back in here for an hour and a half. And it literally takes no time at all. Now that I don't separate media, it's literally just separate from the water and that's it. So you guys got questions on reloading? Let them rip. Yeah, Kermit Loves Bacon says the 350 is only good to 200 yards. And, you know, that and like the SOCOM was actually designed, I believe, when the guys in Iraq and Afghanistan were going from mud hut to mud hut, and guys were hiding behind cinder block walls. And obviously their 223s couldn't penetrate those cinder block walls, and not even their AR-10s would. But they get something like a SOCOM, and it definitely would penetrate it. And I think that's where it comes from, because that's what they were requesting. I think. I'm not positive on that. I could be talking shit, but I believe that's what I read. But like I said, it just depends. It literally gets to the point though, like in cartridges like that, you're spending so much freaking money just to yank on that trigger. It's just ridiculous. Armament and Axes is rolling in the house, saying hello, Todd. How you doing, my friend? So if you guys are just joining us, I need to get some cartridges done for my Ruger Precision Rimfire that has a Krieger barrel on it, and I need to bang up the Shooting Target 7 Know Your Limits target at 300 yards tomorrow. You guys are going to see that video here very soon, probably the next day or two, and you're literally watching the reloads being reloaded for that. And we're dropping 41.6 grains of H4350, and we are going to seat some Sierra Match Kings 142 grain boat tail hollow points, gold standard of the adventurous rifle world. And we are going to use a bullet comparator to make sure we have a 15 thousandths of an inch bullet jump. And I'm about to show that to you once I can get all these dropped. So this is the perfect time to ask any questions on anything. And I got to speak somewhat quietly because my girlfriend's upstairs trying to sleep, and she'll have my balls in a sling here if I talk too loud. So Hitting Steel CA is asking, what's the FPS on that load, Todd? And you're probably going to think I'm crazy, but I stopped chronographing a while ago. I just don't chronograph anymore. And don't get me wrong, it's very beneficial and I think you should do it. I just don't do it anymore. I don't know, it just got to the point where I felt like I was doing more load development than I was actually enjoying shooting my firearms. I just don't chronograph. I just see how it groups. I check and see how it groups at 100, take it out to 600, see how it groups there. If it groups, I rock with it. You know, and I know it's really non-typical nowadays in today's, I know that's pretty non-typical nowadays in today's low development world. Most people are definitely going to chronograph. Get something like a lab radar or a magneto speed. So the two big, you know, chronographs right now are magneto speed or the lab radar. If you can get a lab radar, it's probably what I would get. And if I was to start back up, that's probably what I would get. Would be a lab radar. Like I said, it's just like low development. Like, how far do you want to take it? How much time do you want to invest into doing low development? And I've literally seen guys where that's all they do is just low development. They don't even enjoy shooting the firearm. It seems like every time I see them, they're all, hey, I'm testing a new load. I'm like, but dude, last time I seen you, the last 10 times you were testing the load. I mean, get your load figured out, buddy. You're gonna burn up your barrel before you, by the time you perfect your load, your barrel's burned out. All right, so we're about halfway there. So keep those questions rolling. Questions on my equipment or what I do or what you're doing, let them rip. Hitting Steel CA saying LOA guilty. That's where I'm at now. I geek out on load development. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, like, literally, if you enjoy, that's what you enjoy doing is load development, like non-stop load development. Getting the most pristine pet load, and you enjoy that, there's literally nothing wrong with that. It's just, I'd rather just go out to the range and enjoy shooting steel targets at different intervals, or, you know, just shooting at different ranges. All right, so we are at the halfway point, and I probably should have loaded up this other one so this didn't take so long. I would have been done by now. But this gives us a good opportunity to talk and come together as a community. See here. Armament and Axes is saying, I've been reloading for over 30 years and I've never used a chronograph. If it groups good, that's where it all matters. And man, you and me are just alike. That is like, you know, yeah, you might have amazing SDs, but your group sucks. I don't know. If you have good SDs, your groups should be pretty good. I mean, obviously, differences in feet per second affects the point of impact of the bullet on paper. So it just depends on what you want to do, how much you want to geek out on it. And I just got to the point where dragging out a chronograph, especially the older ones that used light, not like these newer ones that I even used, magneto speed and lab radar. You know, that'd probably be I think lab radar would probably be a lot easier to use. You know, you're not have to screw around with light and how the sun affects it. And I don't know. It's just not for me. If it groups good, it groups good, and I'm happy with it. I tell you, we haven't had one single overthrow or underthrow. They have all been 41 0.6 grains for 26 so far. So we're halfway through without a single overthrow or underthrow, using the the Bic pen insert. So Jeff Allen's saying, from what I have seen, that lab radar is not really worth the money. I've seen lots of people having complaints about that thing screwing up, not reading, etc. And it's true. You got to have it just set just right. And things like suppressors can screw it up. If you got a can on your muzzle, that can totally screw it up. That's probably where magneto speeds shine. So here's the good and bad of using a lab radar and a magneto speed. Lab radar doesn't affect your bullet's harmonics. If you're doing low development while you're using it, anything you put on the end of your rifle's barrel is going to screw up your barrel harmonics. You change out a brake to a different brake, you go from a brake to a can, or you go from a can to just nothing on it, just a thread cap, or you throw a magneto speed on it that weighs more than a brake, you are going to affect your firearm's harmonics. And you spent all this time doing load development and trying to hunt down the most perfect pet load. You're like, oh my God, I got it. I think I got it. Now I'm going to test and check out, or you've had a magneto speed on the end of your rifle's muzzle while you're doing load development because you're checking the SDs and you hunt down the perfect load. And now you finally have it, and you take the magneto speed off, and you just went to a completely different harmonic level on your barrel with most likely different powder accuracy nodes. So if you're using a magneto speed, you got to use it sparingly. When you are using it, you're using it strictly for SDs, and that's it. Because if you have it on there nonstop while you're doing low development, I don't know. That's where a lab radar really shines, but like you said, our lab radars sometimes doesn't read all the readings, and it's really finicky. Mr. Parts for Sale is saying, hit man-sized targets close enough for me, and it's all about preference and purpose. It just depends on what you're doing. Armin Axe is saying, I've learned the hard way many a times, many years ago, about barrel harmonics and how it can affect accuracy. And no joke. Heck, just that last video I did when I changed out if you check out the last part of my 6.5 Grendel, the PSA 6.5 Grendel firearm review series, where I went from a Gen 2 to a Gen 3 little bastard brake. The Gen 3 compared to the Gen 2 is a little bit longer by 1/4 of an inch, and it's got an extra port in it, and it's definitely heavier. And it, in my opinion, it definitely affected that barrel harmonics. You can tell in the last part of that series that the groups weren't as good, and I probably have to retweak out that powder drop a little bit to refigure out the barrel harmonics. And there's a huge, I mean, actually Johnny's reloading bench, he did I'm not sure what it's called, but he actually tested out different cans, different suppressors. He actually made some different threaded weights that you could thread on to the threading of the muzzle. And you could see how just going from a different weight, threaded on weight, and then going up and down and trying a can using nothing, it crazily affected the size of the groups, and not only affected the group size, but affected the point of impact of that group. So, you know, you could use a brake of some sort, and here's your bullseye, and you got a 5-shot group here, and you take the brake off, and that group might shift like that. And then you might put on a can, and the can will affect the point of impact. Seen it time and time again. Just anything that you put. You know, a lot of guys think that putting on a can makes the firearm more accurate. And it's really not the can making it more accurate, it's affecting the barrel harmonics, and sometimes it will and sometimes it won't. But usually putting any type of heavy object at the end of a barrel, you just have to test it. You just got to test and see if it helps or not. So if any of you guys are just joining us, we're getting close to finishing dropping powder here, but I am getting some cartridges done for this. My Ruger Precision Rimfire with a 6.5 24-inch stainless steel heavy Krieger barrel. This is probably the first Ruger Precision rifle with a direct thread barrel. I can't prove that, but I'm pretty sure of it. And this was actually done at Krieger. We are going to go over seating bullets by ogive and figuring out the exact amount of jump, which I've pretty much already done. So if you are just joining us, you might have to go back and watch the beginning of this video once this live broadcast is done to catch that in regards to figuring out bullet jumps and how to seat your bullets and figure out the exact amount of jump that you're seating your bullet at. Hitting Steel CA is asking, what glass do you have on? It's the Burris XTR2. So the Burris XTR2, and it's the 6-24 MOA flavor, so it's not a mil. It is a minute of angle, and it is probably about 3 years old, I think. So I'm not totally impressed with the glass on that thing. Matter of fact, I was watching Is Your Six Covered and X-Rings channel, and it looks like X-Ring won a couple of those. And he was mentioning the exact same thing about that Burris XTR2, and I got it over there. I just can't show it to you, but I can show you a picture of it. So right there, so the Burris 6-24 Burris XTR2 MOA FFP, so it's a front focal plane. So the only thing I changed was the shroud on the bolt. I made it all aluminum. That's about it. Other than, oh, and the SLR handguard. That's not a stock handguard. It's a SLR handguard. And that thing is an absolute laser. It is hands down the most accurate firearm in my collection, without a doubt. Let's see here. Man, this is gonna be a long one. Let's see here. So Armament and Axis is saying, many years ago I put a barrel clamp style sling mount on a rifle and it killed the accuracy. The groups went from clover leaf style to 2 MOA. And man, is that ever true. I mean, I have seen that time and time again. Putting any type of weight, even the smallest amount of weight on the end of any barrel will affect its barrel harmonics. And you pretty much got to restart your load development all over. No joke. Hitting Steel CA saying, I checked my Chargemaster light with the check weights and surprisingly it's on the money. Yeah, I don't know about that light version, and I tell you, I'm not even sure about the newer version either. You know, they got that new Chargemaster that just came out, the replacement of the older style, and you know, it's got 2 tubes sticking out of it and all this other jive. And I think they want damn near $800 for the damn thing. And well, if I'm going to spend that much on that new digital readout Chargemaster, I'm just going to get a frickin' A&D 120i with a powder drop and trickler. I mean, why am I going to spend that much on the updated Chargemaster when the A&D can do it faster and more accurate to 0.02, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Yeah, I don't know what they're thinking pricing out that new Chargemaster. I would have one if it was affordable. I mean, there's no way I'm going to spend, I mean, if you guys heard how much they're selling those things for now, think the cheapest I've ever seen is 700. That new digital readout Charge Master. And to be honest with you, these might not be the absolute accurate, but I've had these for years and years and years, and they work just fine. Just, once again, it's all about your purpose and what you expect out of your firearms and your reloads. All right, so we are getting close here. Only about 10 more to go. And I haven't had one single overthrow or underthrow yet. So let's see if we can get through this whole session without an overthrow or underthrow using the Bic pen modification insert. I know some guys actually sell something, they print out on a computer printer damn near the exact same thing I'm using, and they sell them for 15 bucks. I've seen that on Facebook. Guys sell damn near the exact same thing I got using a Bic pen. Sell it for $14.99 shipped. Well, just take the damn tip off of a Bic pen, you're done. Wrap some blue tape around it. God, you're right. I never thought about the beat, damn it. She's gonna flip her shit. Oh, we got 10 left. That's actually a good point. Beat probably annoying. She does put on we have a fan that we run pretty loud, so. Armin X is saying, I have an old school RCBS beam scale and a simple Hornady digital scale, and they both check out right when checking weights. And that's nothing wrong with an old analog style, that's for sure. So I'm gonna get we are using a Redding competition die seeder. It's about the best of the best. So this comes as a package. So if you guys haven't seen this before, I store all my dies in Ziploc bags. So I get a Ziploc bag, I put a chunk of cardboard or a index card in there. I soak that piece of paper or cardboard with WD-40. I spray the inside of the bag with WD-40, and there is not a speck of rust on any of these dies. You can see right here, I do that on all my dies right there. And there is not a speck of rust on those dies. And I don't have any dehumidifier running in this reloading room. And there's good reason, because they're a fire hazard, in my opinion. It's just another way to start a fire in your house. And I actually do progressively reload once in a blue moon. And I actually, when I do bust that out, I do have my powder drop over here for my L&L press. And even that has a bag on it, doused with WD-40. And this, I haven't touched this thing in about 2 years. No joke. And I am not kidding you. I haven't touched this in 2 years, and there is not a speck of rust on that thing because I have WD-40 in that bag with the index card. All right, we are getting close, my friends, to seating some pills. I'm thinking I should have stoked up the other Charge Master at this point, but it just gives us a chance to chat. So Jerry Bear text saying, Todd, enjoy your evening. Another great live chat. I'm off to bed. Good night, my friend. Nice for you to join us. So yeah, we are using the competition die seeder here, and in that competition set, it comes with Comes with the sizer, obviously, and a crimp die. And I don't crimp my rounds, so I never use this. Let me rephrase that. I do use it. When I make hunting rounds, I do put the very lightest kiss of a crimp on my hunting rounds. And there's good reason why I don't crimp, is because crimping is heavily dedicated on the length of your brass, and if your brass lengths are off, your crimps are going to be all over the place. So if you do crimp, better make sure all your trim lengths are perfect, because if one piece of brass is a longer piece of brass compared to the next, that longer piece of brass will come in contact with the crimp before the next piece, and it will have a heavier crimp, and a heavier crimp compared to the next means higher pressures, and higher pressures is higher feet per second and higher impact on paper. We got 5 left, my friends, and we are going to seat some pills using the bullet comparator. I'm going to get this all set up. So I got my bullet comparator in the body. Now, I'm not going to go over ogive and all that. I've already done that in this live event. So if you did miss that, when we're done here, you can go back and watch that, because I can't stay up much later than seating these bullets, and I got to shut this down. But I mean, you are going to watch me set up this die, because that has been reset, because I have a Mega Ma 10 AR-10 that has 6.5 Creedmoor that I go back and forth from. And I might do a video on that one of these days. So you're going to watch me set up this die using this bullet comparator. So Armament and Axis is asking, do you trim every time you size? Do you full length or neck size? So I full length every time, regardless if it's bolt action or semi-auto. And I do double check trims every single time. So and it doesn't take long to just whip it in a World's Finest trimmer, and that's what I use. So I do double check that. I double check everything. I double check the chamfer, obviously too. So if it's been trimmed, I just, regardless if it's been trimmed or not trimmed, I just glance at the neck. If it hasn't been trimmed, I lightly touch it on the chamfer bit. And if it has been trimmed, I do a proper chamfer on it to accept the bullet. That way, because otherwise you're going to have to double check them all anyway. And that's where neck sizing really comes into place, because your brass doesn't grow as much, so you don't have to trim as much. I'm just curious, what do you do, Armament and Axis? Do you trim every time and size and all that good stuff? So you say I full length or size just like me, and you measure every time. So we're pretty much the same. So either you measure them all, or you just stick it in the World's Finest trimmer. Either way, I'm still, especially with wet tumbling, you get a lot of peening of the case mouth opening. And because of that peening of the case mouth opening, because I don't use a dry tumbler, I'm still going to touch that case mouth opening with the chamfer bit because of that. So you almost have to, in my opinion. So one more, and we're good. So Armin is asking, have you ever done neck turning? And I haven't. Not that anal. I don't think I ever will be either. You're just saying, you're just pretty much just like me. Never seen the need for it. And it just depends on what level of, if you're like a benchless rifle shooter, you might do all that. And I know a guy that does all that and flashes, uniforms flash holes, and hell, he makes his own bullets too. So he pretty much sleeps, almost, that was close. He pretty much sleeps with his firearms and reloading gear. So we are done. So I'm going to hit stop here, And I'm going to take my flashlight and I'm going to double check my make sure everyone has powder in it. And I'm going to also check to make sure that the levels are consistent. So I'm going to take my flashlight here and just double check every single one. What I'm checking is obviously make sure they're all full of powder and they're all consistent. The worst thing you could have is you miss one of these. You miss one of these and you don't drop any powder in one, you're going to get what's called a squib load. And that primer is going to go off and it's going to push that bullet into that muzzle, especially if you have a semi-automatic and you're going to town and pulling the trigger, you're not going to notice it. So if you're ever shooting your firearm and you pull that trigger and it sounds different, you got little to no powder in there, you got no powder at all, it's just the primer going off, you better stop. Pull out that bolt, inspect that rifle's bore, because if you get a squib load and another bullet comes behind that, you're gonna have a bad day. So, looks like good old Eagle Eye Shootings rolling in the house. How you doing, my friend? So we are gonna seat some SMKs, because I need to go to the range tomorrow, and I figured I'd have you guys join me. So, now we're done here. Let's move on down. So if you are just joining us, I need to go to the range tomorrow, and I need some rounds for my very special Ruger Precision rifle. And this isn't your average Ruger Precision rifle. This is probably one of the very first that ever came out. Gen 1 back in late 2015, I think, early 2016, when these first came out and no one could get them. I was able to get my hands on one. And a 6.5 Creedmoor factory barrel, and it shot okay, but not impressive. And it was posted on Facebook, and the actual gunsmith from Krieger got a hold of me, said he wanted to get his hands on this thing, and he rebarreled this, and this is probably the very first direct thread Ruger Precision rifle with a custom barrel. I can't prove that, but I'm pretty sure. I got an aftermarket magazine, so I can load to jamming the lands if I want. So I've measured it, and I can jam lands if I want, but I don't. I got an SLR handguard, and then I got the aluminum shroud on the bolt. And then I'm rocking the Bro QD mount, and it's a 20-minute of angle plus the not only does that have 20 minutes built into it, but I believe the rail has 20 or 30. And what else? This is the Burris XTR2 6-24 FFP scope. So, and what we are going to do is I am seating some Sierra Match Kings. And these are kind of the gold standard of the 6.5 Creedmoor world. And these are the 6.5 millimeter Sierra Match Kings, 142 grain, about as heavy as they get damn near. Boat tail hollow points. These are match grade bullets. If you're not familiar, and we are going to use a bullet comparator and make sure we get a 5/1000ths of an inch jump off of the lands. So I'm not going to rehash this again. I'll just quickly touch base with it. If you missed this, you might want to go back to the beginning of the video once this live event is done. But I already went over how I use the bullet comparator by inserting it into the chamber and how the bullet gets stuck on the rifling's lands. I knocked that bullet out with a bore snake. You can see the bullet right there. I took that bullet, put it back in the comparator, and that's how I got this measurement. So I'm not going to go over all that again. Like I said, if you missed that, you can go back to the beginning of the video once this live event is done. So my maximum ogive that I can possibly seat that bullet, that's when the bullet touches the rifling's lands, is 2.258 using the 142 SMKs. And I'm going for a jump of 5/1000ths of an inch. So I'm going to seat that bullet at 2.243. So that bullet is 15/1000ths of an inch off the lands. So let me back this up here. Let me read some of your comments. So I got all of my brass with a 1 thousandths of an inch bump on the brass from fire forward with 41.6 grains of H4350. And I have, somewhere around here, my Reading competition die seeder. If I can remember where the hell I put it. Did I put it back? Must put it back. So, like I mentioned, I store all my dies in Ziploc bags that are soaked with WD-40. And there's not a speck of rust in all these dies. And you can double check, make sure this is 6.5 Creedmoor. That's what it says, 6.5 Creedmoor right at the bottom. And I have this reset because I think I had to use this for my Mega Mod 10. That's a 6.5 Creedmoor, my AR10. So all right, let me get up the chat boards up here, see if I'm missing anything. Oh, all right, so it's nice to have good old Eagle Eye shooting in the house. If you guys aren't familiar with this channel, you definitely want to click on those 3 little buttons on the side and check out his channel and definitely subscribe. The guy knows his stuff, and I wouldn't say that unless I believed it. So good old Jeff Allen's and good night. It's getting too late for him. That's mirror and mirror affinity, yep. Eagle Eye shooting, yeah, that's the original barrel. It still shoots somehow. Yeah, because I barely shoot the damn thing. I'm too busy shooting PSA firearms. Too busy doing PSA reviews. No, she's still going. I'm gonna guess. I don't know how many rounds are on that thing. I don't think it's over 1,000. I'm guessing on that. Somewhere around 1,000 rounds probably. She still has life in her. Last time I shot it was half minute of accuracy, at least I think. It's been a while since I shot it, to be honest with you. All right, so let's get this going. I pulled this out. I have no clue what this is going to seat at, so we're going to find that out here soon. Get everything set up here. So we're going to check the first few, make sure they're seating consistently for my firearm's ogive. I gotta get some water here because I've been blabbering too much. All right, so I'm gonna grab one of these, move all this crap out of the way. All right, so I've already inspected these. I'm sure that every single one has a consistent powder case level. And I'm sure this is going to seat a little long, so I'm going to have to play around with this to get this seating done just right. Now, you don't want to slam down your press handle when you do this, and I need to achieve a max seated ogive. I'll quick touch base with this. So maximum ogive is 2.258. We're using 142 SMKs. We're doing a seated ogive of 2.243. That gives us a jump of 15 thousandths of an inch. So I am going to see where we're at, and we're going to go from there. So I need to achieve 2.243. And always have your anvil on. If you're not rocking an anvil on your calipers, you ain't doing it right. Always use an anvil. Give you much more accurate readings, especially when you're doing headspace measurements. Make sure those primers are popped out for crater primers. So, All right, so we got a ways to go. So we got a ways. So I'm gonna just slowly take this down, and not slamming that handle down. So I need to achieve 243. Making sure my calipers are zeroed out. If you guys got any questions, let them rip. All right, so 5, 10, 15. So you can see I'm slightly spinning this. So you don't have to spin it too much. You don't want to damage that bullet. I'm getting ultra close here. Just don't want to overshoot this. I usually press down pretty good at the bottom of the stroke handle. All right. So we are currently at the maximum ogive right now. So if I was to insert this, it would be jammed into the rifling's lands by 1/1000th of an inch or 2/1000ths of an inch. I'm going to show that to you right now. So our maximum ogive was 2.258, and right now it's at 2.260. So if I was to load this right now, that would be jammed into the rifling's lands 2/1000ths of an inch. So we only have 17/1000ths of an inch to go. So I'm going to slowly work this down, at least on this first round. And when I get remotely close to this, I'm not going to take it all the way home. I'm actually going to seed another bullet just to see how consistent these secant radiuses are on the ogive. So we are getting really close. So I am going to grab another one. So just to show you, we need a seated ogive, and I just want to make sure I'm getting consistent seating, at least on the first couple pieces, 2, 4, 3. And right now I am at, we're about 10/1000ths of an inch off, 254. So I'm gonna seat another one just before I get to that point, just to see how it compares. I don't want to overshoot this. I want to get it as close as possible to a 15/1000ths of an inch jump. And you can see I'm slowly putting the handle down. At the end, I give it a nice hard tug to make sure she bottoms out. And man, talk about some consistent ogive reads. So 258, put that one down. Oh, I guess it's about 4/1000ths of an inch off. So it's a little bit off, and that's why I'm doing this. So this one's a little bit off, not much, but a little bit. 254. This one's 257, so 3/1000ths of an inch difference. So we need about 10/1000ths. So I'm going to go 5 just to make sure I don't overthrow this. And once you got this seater set up, and you're not using it for a different firearm, like I have a Mega Mod 10, you can set it and forget it. You don't have to go through all this again. So it's 252, and we're getting really, really close. trying to get this as accurate as possible. And I think that should pretty much be it, and then we can just go to town. So I'm taking the one that has the least amount of measurement between these two, because they're a little bit different. Actually, I'm going to take the one that has the highest number to make sure I stay off the land's 15,000ths of an inch. That's 243. That's 243 right there. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so yeah, right there. So I am pushing on this. I can't push it anymore. So two, 4, 3. Exactly at 15,000ths of an inch jump. So I'm just going to quick double check this. And that's pretty darn close. I'm gonna just stick with that. It says 244. If you can make that out, that's good enough. I'm gonna see one more, and then I'm just gonna give her hell. Nice and slow. Nice tug at the bottom. Look at that, my friends. 244. I love it. Nice and slow, nice and slow. Nice tug at the bottom. Let me see if I can get that press handle. Now this is where you might want to check your bullet concentricities if you guys want to get that anal. I just don't. Now your ogives are going to be a little off. Not all ogives are super perfect, but it's definitely more accurate in regards to, definitely more accurate than going off the tips of the bullets. And let me see if I can get that press handle into play here. All right. So I think that's where we're going to rock. I'm going to rock once more, and I think that's going to be good enough. So we're doing approximately about a 15,000ths of an inch jump. It's pretty darn close. Yep, 244. So one of these does say 243, but I think I can settle for that. That's pretty damn good. So let's try one more, and then I'm just gonna go to town. Now I'm gonna measure the rest. Once you get it set up, you don't want to constantly be, what you don't want to do is constantly be screwing around with this up and down, up and down, up and down to try and chase that exact 15,000ths. I mean, you're gonna ruin that accuracy for sure. Let me make sure I bottom that out. And this is where having like a single stage, like a turret press would really come into play. But you can see, 244. All right, one more. I'll just do one more, just to prove a point. Nice and slow, nice and slow, nice and slow. Nice tug at the bottom. So right there, 245, 2445. So I think we're done. I'm done screwing all. That's good enough for me. Let me read some of your comments here. So Otters is in the house. So yeah, when you're seating especially by Cole, cartridge overall length. Definitely, especially hollow point bolt tails, the tips aren't perfect. So if you are measuring by Cole from the tip of the bullet to the base of the brass, your measurements are definitely going to be all over the place. You want to get it close and then stick with it. You don't want to keep on chasing that number. You just get it approximately close, as long as you're careful that you're off the rifling's lands, especially for semi-automatic. Unless you're doing expert reloading and you know what you're doing in regards to touching or jamming the lands. I can't stress that enough. Next is, if you do seat by ogive like I'm doing right now, and what I'll do when I'm off camera here is I'm going to take one of these and feed it into my firearm just to verify that the headspace and the overall seated bullet length is going to feed and function properly in my firearm. That way I don't go out the range and waste my time. But if you can, especially for a bolt action, you should be doing, in my opinion, you should be using these tools in regards to measuring off the bullet ogive if you're playing around with jumps. And jumps can make the difference if you're going for the utmost precision. Once you've locked down the bullet that barrel likes to eat, that the bullet that barrel likes to eat, and the powder drop, and then you can start playing around with jumps, in my opinion. So and one thing you definitely want to keep an eye on is to make sure that there's no ring forming around where the stem of the seater comes in contact with the bullet. You start seeing a distinctive ring, and especially an indentation in the copper where the stem seats the bullet. Most likely you either have too much neck tension or you didn't chamfer the inside of the case mouth opening enough. And those are the two main culprits if you do see that. And if you do see it, it is instantly going to destroy your accuracy of your ammunition. So I'm going to do the last two here, get 10 total, and then I'm going to wrap this up. So if you guys got any questions or comments, you better let them rip. Otherwise, I am going to wrap this up and do the rest of these offline. And I'm feeling that neck tension through the press handle as I'm seating. I'm going nice and slow, and I'm feeling the consistency of that seated bullet. If I notice one is just like whoop and it's way easier than the other one, that means that neck tension is so insanely off. You can feel that. You can really feel it through the handle of that press. And just to show you how consistent this is, it's exactly the same as the other ones. And I'm pushing this together. I'm not feathering this. Is exactly the same as all the other ones I just shown you. All right, so let me do one more here. Like I said, if you got any questions, you better let them rip. Otherwise, I'm going to shut this down here soon. I'm going to finish the rest of these offline. I'm trying to keep this bullet straight up and down as possible as I seat this. Slowly, slowly, slowly feeling the tension. I'm feeling the tension. Nice snug at the bottom. That snug at the bottom ensures that they're all getting the consistent amount of seating pressure. Man, I can't show you guys anymore how much consistently I'm bumping the headspace and consistently seating these bullets by ogive. I can't prove this point to you anymore, and that's where many, many years of reloading comes into play. And I hope this helps you guys out in regards to your reloading adventure. And let me back up. I'm going to check out some of you guys' comments here to make sure I didn't forget anyone. It's a good old Eagle Eye shootings in the house. So Armin and Axis is saying Lee presses and dies work okay. I use them for pistol. I use a Lee Pro 1000 progressive press. I use a Lyman turret press for rifle and a few different other brands, and that's good. I think if you were looking for advice in regards to what press you should buy, if I was to buy one right now, and I wasn't so concerned about progressively reloading, if you're concerned about doing any type of progressive reloading for both pistol and for firearm or rifle, and you can still do precision rounds on a progressive press in my opinion. I mean, this is a progressive press and I'm showing you consistently headspace bumps and obviously seating ogive depths using a bullet comparator. I would probably get something like a Dillon of some sort, like a Dillon 750 or something. If you really want to pump out the ammo, I'll get a Dillon 1050. If you want a single stage press, and this will probably be my next purchase, the Turret T7 Redding press. That's probably what I would get. Good old Is Your Six Covered still rolling in. Have you been watching this whole time, Ricky? Have you been watching this whole time while you're laying in bed listening to my soothing voice? We're kind of flipping we're kind of flipping this around a little bit. Now he's laying in bed and listening to me with my live streams. I'm trying to take the live king crown from Rick. Usually he's on every night, and I'm usually watching him while I'm about ready to go to bed. He's been shooting all day. All right, so I think that's it. I'm going to do one more just for shits and giggles. Just for shits and giggles, baby. Just because I can. And I wish I could throw this in and show it to you, but man, look at that, guys. 2435, so pretty much 244. It doesn't get any more precise than that. So if you guys missed any of this, especially in regards to how to use this, why we use it, we are, at least I am, making some reloads today. What's going on here? Why is this blowing up on me? So we went over the bullet comparator. So how I used it, how I knocked the bullet back out using a bore snake. This is what I'm reloading for. We went over secant radius, tangent radius between the two different styles of bullets, and what the ogive of the bullet is and how it comes in contact with the rifling lands. And that's how we're measuring from the ogive. When I insert this round, I'm coming in contact, let me get this straight, so 244, just like I was showing you before. I'm coming in contact with the ogive, and that's where typically your rifling lands is going to come in contact with the bullet. I'm not measuring from the tip, I'm measuring here, and that's how we're playing around with bullet jumps. I hope that makes sense to you guys, and if it doesn't, you better ask me now so I can explain it in better detail. Otherwise, I'm pretty much going to wrap this up. I'm going to quick touch base with your comments, and I am going to go shoot these rounds tomorrow. Hopefully it's nice out. Is your 6 covered? Yeah, video sucks. I remove it. That's good stuff. I'm so taking your late night live king crown. Let's see here. I think that's pretty much it. Alaska One Andy saying thanks for another awesome live vid. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you learned something, my friend. Thanks for soothing sound of Todd Elfers. This is like I should almost be on radio or something. All right, my friends, I am done. I'm going to finish up the remainder of this 50 rounds of third fire. This is for my 6.5 Creedmoor RPR Ruger Precision Rifle. The date, 50 of them. It's on its third fire of brass. I'm using 6.5 Hornady brass. I just dropped 41 0.6 grains of Varget. Not Varget, H4350, I'm sorry. Maximum ogive, seated ogive, jump of 15 thousandths of an inch. We're using SMKs, 142 boat tail hollow points, and I have a bumped headspace of this. That's the target. I try to get between those two numbers. I try not to go below it, and I try not to go above it. And that's where my brass fire forms. So I'm bumping this back roughly almost 2 thousandths of an inch, just to make sure it functions. Lee Scott saying, thanks Elfster, and thank you. And I hope you guys learned something. If you guys enjoy my content, you enjoy my videos, scratch my back and I'll continue to scratch your back by making these, not only these videos, but live streaming like this. And this does cost me money, and every bit helps, such as joining my Patreon account. Become a Patreon. It helps out more, you know, in regards to components, going out to the range for gas, camera equipment. It does make a difference. So become a Patreon. It really does help. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Hit that notification bell so you get that notification when I do go live, such as this. And I will see you guys in the next perfectly edited video of shooting these rounds at a know your limits target at range. See you later.